Melissa been bugging me to tell about the time that Uncle Bert killed his daddy, Grandpa Jass. Well, about all I know about it is what I learned when I was a kid, sitting around and the different hoes would come into the house, and Mom would be stringing beans or shelling peas or shucking corn or something, and they'd join in to help her work, and they'd talk about things on East Fork. That's about as far as they reached on it. And eventually they'd get to talking about stuff. Well, when they talked about Grandpa Kimsey deserting in the Civil War and Uncle Bert shooting Grandpa Hall, they'd look all around everywhere to see that everything was clear, then they'd lower the voice and they'd start telling them what they were going to tell. But what they came up with on that one was that Martha Ann Dills, who great-grandma Buchanan, was married twice. Her second husband was James Jasper Buchanan, and they had, James Jasper and Martha Ann had 4 children. They had Ramsey and Victoria and Bert and Lily. Lily was my grandmother. And there was trouble in the family for something, and I think what it amounted to was that Aunt Victoria's husband, Jake Woodard, and her brother, Jake, Ramsey borrowed money to go west to find work, you know, and they used the land this place is on as collateral, and they made the trip out there and stayed a while, and they were never able to pay it back, and so it was auctioned off at the courthouse steps in Webster, and Grandpa Buchanan, Jass, bought it. And so he owned this, and then that tract of land over the big ridge on that one, he checked the books and found out that it had never been sold with state seal on it, so he entered that, and he wound up with all that land, and this land, the land that Uncle Otis had, and all that went to Grandma Hall after Grandpa died. And so there was trouble. Victoria and Jake was living down where Uncle Albert's house is, in a log cabin that stood there until World War II. And Uncle Albert tore it down and built the house that's down there now. But I think that the trouble, Grandpa, Jass, and Martha Ann were not living together. Jass was living with Grandma Hall, but he had gone up to the Moore place and got a bag of apples, was coming back, and at that time there was no stock law, and so the cattle stock, everything just run loose. People fenced their fields with rail fences, and they'd fence around the house to keep the stock out. And right across the road where he turned up to Melissa's down there, just a little bit above there, I remember him, there was 2 posts on each side with cross pieces on them and bars across there that connected the fence. They called it the gap, you know. And to get through, you had to pull those poles out and drop them down and then go through, and then you would put them back up. And I think Martha had Bert tell Grandpa he couldn't change the poles or something, but he didn't pay attention to that, and he went ahead and let the gap down, and Bert was hiding in the laurel bushes down there and shot him. Well, he didn't kill him. He didn't die right there. He was able to get to the house that was right across from where you turn up the branch there. There was the Colts lived there. Then he got to that house, And then they carried him from there back to Grandma's. And he died about 3 days later. He died in October the 15th, 1906. I was trying to remember he left here, and I talked to Jonah Dills in Silver one time, and he stayed with some of the Dillses in Silver until he could get a job or get a way back out west. In the meantime, Jake and his wife and Ramsey and Sally had moved west to Moses Lake, Washington. And after they were able to make arrangements, Uncle Bert moved out there with them, and he died out there. Grandma died there December 30th, 1917, and she's buried at Harrington, Washington, which is near Spokane, you know. And there was all kinds of stories told about Uncle Bert, about these awful deaths that he died out there. Most of them by that relatives of Grandma's first husband's family there. The Tatums, how he was stabbed to death with a pitchfork and stuff. But the only thing I remember about him was that Aunt Victoria would write my mother, and she would send pictures, and she had one of the pictures that had a picture of Grandma was in a wheelchair. She was diabetic and lost both legs. And Uncle Bert was the last one on left on the porch, and they said that was the last time he was ever out of bed. He died of TB out there. And so that's where it happened. I mean, right down there where he turned up to Melissa's, and they're talking about, and they're still talking about. So I'm gonna shut up.